Hi everyone, comic book reviewer here. This time reviewing on issue 2 of Aquaman. Now, as you know, Aquaman was part of DC's New 52 origin series that was meant to kind of restart the DC universe again and give a new and different origins. And keep in mind the early issues are meant to feature the trench that would appear in the Aquaman movie, as well as in the sort of Justice League Throne of Atlantis film. And let's get on the story. It starts off how the fishing crew from issue 1 end up getting attacked by the trench, and of course, they try to blast them off like some Lovecraftian horror film, and we kind of see them looking on and saying, "What do you want?" "Food." And of course, sprays one of them with some sort of weird stuff and saying, "Get away my food." Wait. And of course, they murder people on board, and we see how they look on, seeing that there's a whole sort of nest for them to have their food. And of course, they make it to the shore, and we see how, the sort of next night, we see how Mira's being amazed with Arthur's book from all his childhood experience. And we see Mira saying, "When can I try it?" "You don't have to, Mira. I did a lot of things. I don't need to do it again. When I was a kid, my dad took me on trips across the country, making me try new things, far away from the water." And we see how Mira wants to try it as well. And we see a picture of Dr. Shen, who was also in the Aquaman movie. And Arthur knows full well what this guy was capable of if you've ever read his history. And we see someone answering the door saying, "Hello, I need help." And of course, Aquaman shows up, him saying, "You look like Aquaman, but it's hard to tell from the shore without the orange suit." And of course, this is kind of like where we see the sheriff asking about, like, if it's the right lighthouse, everything else. And keep in mind the point of the early issues was just meant to joke with how Aquaman was meant to be useless, similar to how everyone's fandom's reaction. And keep in mind, Aquaman can do a lot of things if you've read the comics. And of course, we see how Mira shows off her abilities, and we kind of see how the sheriff points out about how last night at Breach Rock was attacked by the trench. And of course, we see how they journey in with everyone going in. The Coast Guard, the army, people looking, as well as the police. And we see Aquaman saying, "Coast Guard? US Navy? It looks like you've already called in a lot of help. Wilson!" And of course, it kind of turns out this guy here is meant to be the sheriff, while Wilson's meant to be the deputy. But he kind of pointed out that Aquaman can do this, as he helped his sister before. And we see how the real sheriff says, "Hey, stop them! They should be bowing before you. I'm not a king to them, Mira. They need to be educated. I'm happy to do it." And of course, we see how Aquaman uses his telepathy powers, and of course, tries to find out any sea life that's on it there, but in the ocean, and him saying, "There's nothing." "What do you mean, nothing?" "There's nothing out there to respond to. No fish, no anything." "Over here! I found something." And of course, they find out some sort of weird cocoon, but we see how Mira and Aquaman hear the voices, and turns out it's the trench saying, "Our food!" And we kind of see how, Mira and Aquaman have to kind of try and stop them, and we kind of see how Mira has to use her water abilities to try and stop them. And of course, we kind of see how she tries to create a giant shield around to strike some of the other trench, and we kind of see how Arthur gets bitten in that, with one of the trench's teeth being bitten off, and Arthur saying, "Mira!" And of course, this is where we kind of see Arthur comes face to face with one, and saying, This food comes home to the trench." And this is the story. So I kind of think, issue two's not too bad. And like I said, I think the point of the Trent were meant to be this kind of Lovecraftian horror-like story, and this does remind me of the deep ones from H.P. Lovecraft. And yeah, we know the Trent would get their appearance in the Aquaman movie and the DC film Throne of Atlantis. So I think this issue definitely deserves a thumbs up. Still good, and still alright. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.